Welcome to the video on 9.4. In this section, you are learning about polyhedrons and spheres. Very interesting section. We talk about a polyhedron is a solid bounded by plane regions. Polyhedrons or polygons form the faces of the solid, and the segments common to those polygons are the edges of the polyhedron. Remember, the endpoints of the edges are the vertices of the polyhedron. So there is convex polyhedron and concave polyhedron. Very good details for you. In this chapter, they also talk about Euler's equation, V plus F is equal to E plus 2. Very interesting. If you would like to read more from Leonhard Euler, let me know. I have some books about his life and about his theorems. Leonhard Euler is one of the most prolific mathematicians of all time, and he spent some of his time coming up or deriving some of these formulas that we use. This one seems pretty straightforward, but it's very powerful, so make sure you pay attention to Euler's equation. He has many other things he brought to mathematics. We're talking about over 50 things, so just keep that in perspective, because you might hear about the Euler's identity, for example. Very interesting gentleman who lived back in the 1700s, from 1707 to about 1783. So let me know if you have any questions about Euler's formula. Otherwise, they give you examples of polyhedrons, such as the tetrahedron, the hexahedron. Of course, notice the words octahedron, or like the word before the hedron would be the number of faces. And these are congruent, these shapes would have congruent sides. The sides will all be equal. When you think about the dice, when you play a game like a cube, you're basically looking at an example of something that would be like a polyhedron dice, right? So when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you have 6 faces to something. That's a hexahedron, and you're very familiar with that, I'm sure. So that's the first part of the chapter is dealing with that. Then we talk about spheres, right? So the first part was talking about polyhedron, and then the second part is talking about spheres. Formulas that are very important for this course would be the surface area, which is 4 pi r squared, and then the volume, which is 4 over 3 pi r cubed. So these are two formulas that you'll be using for the sphere, the surface area and the volume. Your textbook gives you some good background. You can read and you can see how some of these were derived. Of course, when we talk about these formulas, you can think of an application with planets and their shapes. So just keep that in perspective as you work through these problems. This section is the last from chapter 9. It has 48 questions, and it basically reminds you, well, you have 48 questions. If you're doing every other odd, I just want to remind you that you can go all the way to number 45, but you're always I always encourage you to feel free to pick extra problems or problems that you find interesting and do them too, just to enjoy more of what the chapter has to offer. Because again, there's 48 problems. If we assigned all of them, they would, you get a lot of practice, but I think you will understand and master by doing just about 10 of these problems, and therefore having you do all 48 would just take a lot of time. And so I'm giving you freedom to do the every other odd, but then I'm giving you freedom to pick any extra problems you want, just to enjoy the problems you've been given. The next section from chapter 9 is just talking about perspectives in history and perspectives in application. I will recommend that you spend time reading those, and I'll be talking more about those in the future for each of the chapters. So please go ahead and create a formula sheet if you need to, where you have all these formulas, or use the one that has been provided at the beginning of the book. So this is the end of the chapter as far as the concepts, but please remember to use the formulas for the surface area and volume, and read the chapter, and then watch extra videos if you need more examples. Have a wonderful day. It's the same. This process is the same for all these problems. There's a formula that you're given, and there's values that you're given, and you're plugging the values in and simplifying. Please make sure that you do not forget to show your work as you do these problems. That's very important. I will go ahead and end this section here, but if you have any questions, let me know. Please, the formula